Stop using the old NVIDIA Control Panel. It's outdated. These new NVIDIA app settings can give you more FPS, lower input lag, and smoother gameplay in Rust. Let's optimize it. To start off inside of the video, first of all, we're going to be doing is opening up the NVIDIA app. 1. Drivers tab. First up, the Drivers tab. Make sure you're on the latest game ready driver. This now actually shows you release notes right inside the app, which is a nice change from the old Control Panel days. And here's a genuinely useful new feature worth knowing. If a new driver ever causes issues for you, the NVIDIA app now lets you roll back to a previous driver version right from this same tab, so you're not stuck troubleshooting a bad update. 2. Graphics Program Settings. This now leads us onto the Graphics tab, and specifically Program Settings, which is what used to be called Manage 3D Settings back in the old Control Panel. We're going to go ahead and add Rust as its own profile here, rather than relying only on the global settings. Now here's something I actually want to clear up. Because you'll see conflicting advice on this across different guides, some creators will tell you not to bother touching program-specific settings at all, that it just duplicates whatever's already set in-game. And for some settings, that's true. But for a couple of these driver-level settings, there is no in-game equivalent, so setting them per game is the only way to control them. So we're not skipping this section. We're going to go through exactly which ones are worth setting here. 3. Graphics Global Settings, the core section. This now leads us on to some very important settings, so pay attention here. First, low latency mode, set this to ultra. Now, quick note, if you've already got NVIDIA Reflex turned on inside Rust itself, you don't need to stack both at max since they're doing a similar job. Just make sure at least one of them is active. Power management mode, set this to prefer maximum performance. Now I want to be straight with you guys here. Because this one comes with a real caveat, this setting genuinely depends on your GPU's temperature. If your card's already running hot, north of about 75 degrees, this setting isn't going to give you much, if anything at all. So don't expect a miracle here if your cooling's already maxed out. This is a free win on a cool running card, not a fix for a thermal problem. Threaded optimization, leave this on auto. That's still the correct value for basically every setup. Shader cache size, we're going to go ahead and bump this up depending on how many games you've got installed. If you've only got a handful of games, something in the 10 to 20 gigabyte range is plenty. If you've got a big library, you can go higher, up toward 50 or even 100 gigabytes. What this actually does is stop the game from having to recompile shaders every time you load in, which is a common cause of that stutter you get right when you spawn into a new area. 4. DLSS Override RTX Cards, optional, advanced. This next one's specifically for RTX card owners, so if you're not on an RTX GPU, feel free to skip ahead a bit. Inside the app, you can override the DLSS preset Rust uses. Now this genuinely depends on your GPU generation. If you're on a 40 or 50 series card, you'll want a different preset than if you're on a 20 or 30 series card, because the underlying model versions are different. I'm not going to go deep into every preset name in this video, because honestly, that's a topic that deserves its own dedicated video. But the short version is, newer cards benefit from the newer presets, and forcing an older preset on a newer card can actually cost you FPS instead of gaining it. Now I do want to flag something honestly here, rather than pretend everything's perfect. Super resolution mode has had some reported bugs for certain GPUs. I'm not sure if it's affecting everyone or just some setups, so test it yourself before you commit to it. If you notice weird visual artifacts or no FPS change at all after enabling it, that might be why. 5. System Display tab. We can then go ahead and head over to the System tab, which is where display settings live now instead of in that separate resolution tab from the old Control Panel. If your monitor supports it, get G-Sync or VRR turned on here. This pairs with leaving V-Sync off inside the game, which we already covered in the in-game settings video. Confirm your resolution and refresh rate are both set correctly. Sounds obvious, but it's worth double-checking, especially after a driver update. Digital Vibrance, bump this up a bit from the default. Somewhere in the 55 to 60 range is a good starting point. What this actually does is make colors pop more, which in practice means enemies wearing clothing that blends into grass or foliage become noticeably easier to spot. It's a small setting, but it's a genuinely free visibility upgrade with no FPS cost. Now, quick and important callback here, Digital Vibrance inside the NVIDIA app is completely safe and built in. That's not what I'm warning you about. What I am warning you about is third-party tools like Reshade that promise similar or bigger visual boosts. Do not use those. People have genuinely gotten banned for that, so stick to what's built into NVIDIA's own software. That's the best NVIDIA app settings to boost your FPS in Rust. If you've gone through this, drop a comment down below with your GPU model, your driver version, and your FPS before and after. I want to see how these settings perform across different cards, since a few of them genuinely depend on your hardware generation. If you found this useful, leave a like on the video. That helps out the channel a ton. And if you haven't already, this is actually the third video in a full optimization series. Go check out the Steam settings video and the in-game settings video too. The three of them, together, cover pretty much everything that isn't your actual hardware. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.